If bar chords have you saying, what the F, then you're gonna wanna watch this video all the way to the end because I have 5 great tips to help make your bar chords easier and make them sound clean. And these work even if you're a beginner. And at the end, I'm gonna share a great exercise to help you out as well. My first tip for you is to watch the angle of your index finger. A lot of times, beginner guitar players, when they're first trying to learn bar chords, they'll try to fret with their first finger and keep their finger completely flat. But what we want to do instead is actually roll over on the edge of our finger. And the reason for that is, if you feel along your finger here, you'll notice that there's lumps and bumps and it's kind of squishy and soft. Whereas if you touch the edge of your finger, it's a lot more bony and hard, which helps you clamp onto the string a lot better. So instead of going flat on the strings, you want to try and roll your finger over almost on a 45-degree angle so that we're using this side edge of your finger to fret the notes. Another great tip to go with that is that if you're playing a major bar chord, for example F major, you actually only need to bar 3 different strings with this first finger. So you can actually have a little bit of an arch in this finger. So notice that I'm using kind of the finger tip here to hit the low E string, and then I'm using the inside of my finger here to get the B string and high E string. These other 3 notes are played by my other 3 fingers. So that means that I can have a bit of an arch with this finger, like this, which makes it easier rather than trying to keep it perfectly straight. The next tip has to do with the position of your first finger relative to the fretboard. I notice some people, when they're trying to play an F bar chord or B minor bar chord, they always try and make sure that the tip of the finger ends on the lowest note. So for the B minor, that would be the 2nd fret of the A string, or F major, that would be the 1st fret of the low E string. But a good thing to do is to experiment with where you have this first finger. Don't be afraid to let this finger overhang the neck. This has been very helpful with a bunch of different students. You can sometimes leave that fingertip hanging over, or you can try going the opposite direction and have more of just your fingertip on that lowest note. So experiment with this, see what works for you, because everybody's hand is a different size, they have different finger lengths, and we have different shapes. Another easy tip is to make sure that you keep your finger as close as possible to the fret. So if we're playing the 1st fret, you want to make sure that you have your finger set up right here. You want to make sure that you're not back toward the nut, but as close as possible to that fret. And that'll make it easier to press the string down. That is true for whether you're playing single notes or bar chords. Next, let's talk about the position of your thumb. When you're playing bar chords, for most people, you want to try and keep your thumb in the middle of the back of the neck. And I want to try and line it up with my index finger. So kind of think about doing this. I call it the chef's kiss position with your hand. So try and think about the chef's kiss position, and you have your thumb lined up right here with your index finger, and you're going to squeeze just like that. And notice that I have a gap between the palm of my hand and the bottom of the neck. If I put my palm up like this, it makes it very hard to get a good bar shape. Whereas if I have space between the bottom of the neck and the palm of my hand, I can get a good arch and a good squeeze between my thumb and this first finger. See, look at that gap right there. There's a decent amount of space between there. So try messing around with the position of your thumb. Again, I find it's most helpful to try and line that thumb up with your first finger, or try and have it between your first finger and your middle finger. And that's a good position horizontally. And then you can also test where your thumb is, whether you move it down lower on the neck, down to here, or if you have it up higher toward here. Again, I find it's best right in the middle for me, but everybody has different hand shapes, so find what works for you. And while you're practicing using the edge of your first finger and experimenting with where you place your thumb, you can also try just holding the guitar up like this. So be careful, make sure that you don't drop it, but you want to try and get a good squeeze like this, holding onto your guitar. And this will give you an idea of how you want to hold it. So you can have it right here, and then bring it back to this position, still holding on to it, and try fretting those notes. Another common mistake is I see a lot of guitar players with their elbow sticking out like this. They're doing the chicken wing. Instead, you want to keep your elbow tucked in toward your body, and that will give you the proper wrist and finger position so that you can kind of get on the edge of this first finger and you get a good position with your thumb as well. So give that a try. You notice if you try and put your elbow out here, it makes it really uncomfortable on the wrist. Real quick, if you're enjoying the lesson so far, please hit the like button. And if you want some extra help with your bar chords to make them easier, make them sound clean, check the link below. We have our bar chord intensive where we'll walk you through one-on-one, give you specific feedback, and we'll give you a clear path to be able to play bar chords all across the neck. You'll get recordings of everything and it'll be really helpful. Now let's get back to the lesson. Even for myself, playing guitar for many years, if I try and keep my elbow out right here, it gets really uncomfortable on my elbow and my wrist as well. So try tucking that elbow in and rotate in like this, and that will give you the proper angle that you need. Speaking of elbows, we can also use our strumming arm elbow to help out with your bar chords. Now that might sound kind of strange, but you'll notice if I try and pull these strings, that the body of the guitar wants to move forward. So if I pull the strings back, the body moves like this. So what we want to do is try and do the opposite on this side. So if I pull back with this elbow and also pull back here, that allows me to get more tension on the strings. So I pull here and pull here, I get a nice firm grip on the guitar, nice firm grip on the strings. Now what are some other quick easy tips? If you're really struggling with playing bar chords, you can also try learning on an electric guitar instead. Because with the electric guitar, the strings are smaller and there's less tension on them, and also the action on the guitar is usually a little bit better than acoustic. And what that means is that the strings are closer to the fretboard. So the closer the strings are to the fretboard, the easier it will be to play bar chords. And if you have a cheaper guitar, usually the action will be a little bit higher, which means the strings are higher off the fretboard, and that makes it tougher to play bar chords. So you've got a couple options. If you have an electric guitar, you can try learning with that. Or you can take your guitar into the shop and have it properly set up, and they can get your action brought down so that you have the proper distance between the strings and the fretboard. One final tip that will lead us into the special bar chord exercise is knowing that sometimes it's easier to practice bar chords on the higher frets. And the reason is, if you look at the distance between the 1st and the 3rd fret, and the 7th and 9th fret, you'll see that they're a lot closer together, which means you don't have to spread your fingers out as far. With this bar chord right here, the F bar chord, you have to bar the 1st fret, which can be pretty tough for people because there's more tension there. And then you also have to stretch a little bit to try and get these fingers over. Whereas if you practice it on the 7th fret, just move everything up 6 frets, then you don't have to stretch your fingers as far apart. It's much easier here, and also there's a little bit less tension too. This is also where we'll start our exercise to make your bar chords easier and sound much more clean. So what we're going to do is start on the 7th fret of the high E string, and we're also going to play the B string. We're just going to bar those 2 strings, and you can use all the tips that I showed you before. So once you have those 2 notes sounding nice and clean, we're going to move our finger up even further. So we're going to play the high E string, B string, and G string. Make sure they all sound clean. Again, use all the tips I showed you before about kind of using the edge of your finger and your thumb placement, keeping your elbow tucked in. Once you have that sounding clean, we're going to do 4 strings, all the way up to the D string, and then we'll move up to the 5th string, the A string, and then once you're comfortable with that, we can do the low E string as well. Again, stop once you start getting some buzzing, and you can just keep practicing that one section. Once you can play that comfortably across all 6 strings, you're going to move down 1 fret at a time. And the reason is that as you get closer, again, to the 1st fret, the tension gets a little more difficult, and also we're getting into a bit more of a difficult hand position as well. If you get to a certain string and you find it's buzzing a lot, make sure you stay there and practice it. Try messing around with your thumb position, trying to get it between your 1st finger and your middle finger, somewhere around the middle of the back of the neck. Try angling your finger. You can also try adjusting where your finger is on the fretboard. Again, just because we might be only playing these bottom 4 strings doesn't mean we can't have our finger extend further than that. So I hope you enjoyed these tips to make your bar chords easier, make them sound clean. Again, focus on one at a time. Try this exercise 1 string at a time. And if you want some extra help, make sure you check out the link below. You can try our guitar intensive for bar chords, where we run you through it one-on-one. You get recordings of everything, and we give you a straight path and specific one-on-one feedback to take you from where you are now to actually being able to play bar chords all across the neck. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.